Hold on. Hold on. Uber just announced a new earnings incentive for you as a driver, but I feel like we've seen this before. We're going to go over that in this video. What exactly is it that they're offering? And this is going to be up to a 20% boost in pay. 20% boost in pay. Let's find out. So I saw this was just announced just a couple of days ago, a couple of weeks ago. It's called Trips in a Row. Trips in a Row. You can see it announced August 5th. And I was reading this. Look at what this is. And I want to see if this will actually help you make more money in this rising competition of this gig economy here. Earn up to 20% extra for accepting trips in a row. Does this sound like anything we've kind of seen before? What do you think? Accepting, in this case, it says earn 5% up to 20% per Uber X trip. So this is rideshare, but we're going to see if this might come to food delivery here or just their courier platform. When you accept in a row during a bonus period. Trips in a row bonus periods and details will be announced in the app when available. So how does this work? You start a series. I'm just thinking this completely relates to something else. Accept trips in a row to unlock 5% extra per trip until you reach 20%. Extra earnings will be reflected in the ride request fare on the offer card. You know that offer card that just pops up on your phone whenever you get that request? All right, well, you start a series, then you keep going with the series. Declining or canceling drops you down a bonus level. Now, here's where things are a little different, okay? Now, if you're seeing this for the first time, drop a like this video. My name is Mike. All I do is help you make money in different side hustles. So framed for Uber X, but, you know, like a lot of these gig apps, we'll see if it crosses over to the mobility or the delivery sector, I should say. Here's where it's different. So if you, decline a ride, if you cancel it, it drops you down a bonus level. That is different than the other program I'm going to talk about. So for example, you decline, it drops you down from 20% extra pay to 15% extra pay. And I'm going to let you know what I think about this because I kind of feel like there's something behind this. What do you think about this? Accept a trip to start a new series. Okay, makes sense. Pick up where you left off. Bonus periods last for 2 hours. Okay, so it's a scheduled bonus period. So peak pay, the per delivery bonus on DoorDash is scheduled. Now they can't have dynamic peak pay, which ends like basically whenever they want. Once it ends, your bonus level will carry over to the next time a bonus period is available. All right. So here's some more details. And again, folks, what this is trips in a row, just announced a couple of weeks ago via Uber on their Uber X rideshare mobility platform. So here's an illustration of it. So if you accept, you start a series, 5% extra pay. You accept another one, 10% extra pay, and then 15, and then maxing out at 20% extra pay here. Okay, this promo is applicable for Uber X trips only and only available, to drivers in select markets who have the app open, et cetera, in eligible areas. So, hey, comment in the live chat, or if you're watching on the replay, are you in an eligible market? Actually, let me look right now on mine. Can't talk today. The caffeine needs a hit. So I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Let me open my Uber driver app. Can you do the same thing right now? And then comment what marketplace you're in and if you have this or not. Okay, so I'm on the home screen. I don't see anything. What about my inbox? Nope. I mean, they say this would be who have the app open and are in an eligible area. So again, open your driver app and let me know if you have this. I'm not seeing it here. Let me check. Let me keep checking for you. Okay, let me look at opportunities. Because you can go into opportunities. This is in your Uber driver app in the top left on that 3-line menu. I'm not seeing it here in Pittsburgh. And I clicked on inbox, which is for like announcements usually, and then opportunities for like bonus opportunities. Okay, let's continue. Trips in a row. Promotions will be available for limited times only, and the exact date and time of promotions will be determined at Uber's sole discretion. Cool, got it. Accepting and canceling drops you down a bonus level. If you accept, decline, or cancel a trip other than an UberX trip, it won't impact your participation in this program. Now, again, this is framed only for mobility. So I would imagine they're talking about anything in the mobility sector. So if you're on Select, Comfort, anything other than the UberX, then you're not going to see this. That's how I read this. Trip radar requests are eligible for this promo. Okay, that's good to know. What do you think about Trip radar? Can you let me know? Comment that in the live chat or the comments, because I'll let you know. 99% of Trip radar that I've seen on any vertical aren't worth it typically. I had one that was worth it, and that's if they're going to show you the pre-tip from the customer. So it's obviously going to be a higher dollar amount. If you see one that's a good margin, click on it ASAP, because you kind of have to. So it's not only on those Trip radar, by the way, it's when Uber shows a request to multiple drivers or couriers at the same time. It's not just who clicks on it first, it's who's best qualified. So you may be further away, like distance-wise, to that pickup than another driver or courier. You might, I don't know, whatever they're considering there. But still, if it's a good margin on Trip radar, click on that ASAP. Well, I like that, though. At least Trip radar qualifies. Geez. Accepting Trip radar requests will increase your bonus level. But rejecting Trip radar will not decrease it. So Trip radar is only a win for you. Accepting is only going to increase this bonus level. Now, it makes sense because Trip radar are offered to multiple drivers and couriers at the same time. So they could bombard you with Trip radar, and if you decline them all because they don't make sense to you, and they're offering the same thing to other drivers and couriers, it's going to like ding everybody. So it makes sense that rejecting Trip radar doesn't decrease this bonus level. However, canceling a Trip radar will decrease the bonus level, as it should. Like, canceling is, or unassigning, it's also called, is when you accept it and then you just do that. You unassign it or you cancel it. So there you've committed. You've taken that offer off the market, off the round robin in this case. So you're intending to take it. So if you cancel it, that will hurt you there. That kind of makes sense. If you decline or cancel a rider trip request, it will decrease your bonus level. Yep, we got that. If you reached 15 extra for taking trips in a row and then cancel the ride, you will only earn 10% extra for the next trip taken. Okay. And then rider cancellations don't count against you. So that makes sense. So what this is, in essence, is Uber's, I think it's their first, correct me if I'm wrong, tiered bonus program, kind of. I mean, I know there's different like tiered rewards for Uber Pro, but real-time bonus program that everyone's eligible for, this seems like they're first. I'm trying to remember. I've done Uber since 2015, so there's a lot of different programs I'm trying to remember here. So, and again, hang with me. I'm going to give you my verdict here on this in a second, my initial verdict here. Do you have this? So the more you accept, the higher the tier you get. But as soon as you unassign or decline anything other than a Trip radar, and this is only UberX, then it goes down. Okay. This promo applies on top of your fare. Just like standard bonus. Okay. So I want to show you, if you're just joining, this is what was just announced just a couple of weeks ago. Trips in a row. It's a tiered bonus program. The more you accept in a row, the higher your additional bonus pay will be on top of the fare, up to 20%. I don't have this here in Pittsburgh. All right, let me give you my initial verdict. And hang with me, by the way. I have updates from 4 other gig apps as well. So this is straight from my free newsletter. It's at yourdrivermike.com/ newsletter. I want to review all this with you. And if you want that newsletter, just sign up there, yourdrivermike.com/newsletter. That's where these announcements are from. If you want to get those updates in minutes a week, a month, I try to send it out when there's breaking news. But if you want the latest side hustle news in minutes, sign up for that newsletter, yourdrivermike.com/newsletter. Okay. I kind of feel like any tiered bonus like this, for a number that sounds pretty decent, 20% more pay on top of, so let's say it's a $5 run. It's now a $6 run for a 20% bonus. Okay. It makes me think, are fares generally being lowered though? Because I actually just got finished listening to DoorDash's Q2 2024 earnings call. And all I do is help you make money in different side hustles here. And I've listened to those quarterly calls for the past 5 years from Uber and DoorDash respectively. And the conversation is, yes, we're proud of our drivers, our couriers, our earners. They're earning this much money. But during those investor calls, the conversation is, how can we operate leanly? How can we operate efficiently? And how can we improve those efficiencies, they call it, AKA saving money by paying drivers and couriers less. Now, on that DoorDash call, they also talked about, passing some savings on to the customer. So something's got to give. They can't just, they can't pay drivers more and have customers save money, right? But I want to let you know, they're always trying to operate leanly. So going back to this, I kind of feel like, are they operating more leanly and you just can't see it? Like, honestly, we have no idea. Hey, can you drop a like on this video, by the way, if you appreciate this candid, real talk from someone who's done this gig work since 2015. You can't see if that $5 run would have been $5.25 or $5.50 or $6 2 years ago, right? There's no way to know that. So my point is, do you think the base fares, I'm talking about like general pay, it's lowering overall, and then on top of that, then they're adding this 20%. So fares used to pay kind of up here, then it's kind of, over the years it's going down, and then now they're adding 20% with this trips in a row feature. Like I said, these companies are operating leanly. They're not just straight up increasing pay. They're not going to say, our base used to be $2 to $10 for DoorDash, and now it's $4 to $10. We're increasing. I'd love to see it. I would love to see it from any of these companies that straight up, black and white, no debates, our base pay is increasing. Like, then there would be no debate that the minimum fare is going up, because it starts with base pay. Anyway, let me know what you think about this trips in a row, because I want to show you something here. Look at this. Trips in a row, you get bonus percent boost up to 20% by accepting in a row. But isn't it similar to this? You remember this consecutive streak bonus? This is from 2019. It's almost the same thing. It's, I've done this stuff for a long time. Some of these programs are so similar to things they've done in the past. It's just, it's a little different, and it's called something else, and then it's announced as new. So consecutive streak bonus, you would just accept consecutive offers. Start in a zone, take your first trip. In this case, drive 3 in a row. Now it is different. Okay. I'll give you that, guys. It's, in this case, you had to accept a certain amount of trips in a row consecutively, and then you got the bonus. So it is different. Consecutive streak bonus. Let me know if you still have this, where you accept X amount in a row, and then you get the bonus. So that is different than this, where you accept, you just start a series, okay? And then once you accept, 5% extra, and then it just tiers, 10%, 15%, 20%. So overall, what I'm really curious about is if this is going to result in more pay. Here's a strategy for you. Let me finish with this before I move on to our next gig app update. Because again, I got like 4 other app updates for you from our free newsletter, youdriveformike.com/newsletter. I feel like this is a good opportunity to judge multi-apping. And I know, especially in rideshare and food delivery, there is a niche of driver that does this like more full-time, more hours, and they do rideshare. So if you're in that camp, I've said this for years, you always have to diversify if something's going to change for the better or worse. For the better, you're like, sweet, this is a new change. I like this. But for like negative changes over time, if you're saying like, well, I'm getting paid less, you have to multi-app, rideshare, local and regional options, and then other niches. I talk about multi-apping and then multi-niching. If you just corner yourself in a little corner of the market, like I just do Uber, then when things change, you really feel it. My point is though, if I'm multi-apping, and I said the same thing for consecutive streak bonuses. I told you on consecutive streak bonuses, this is why you want to subscribe, because these strategies are always kind of ebbing and flowing, and you don't always want to do the same thing. And I follow this closely for you every day. Then, if it makes sense, I'll accept it. Sweet, 5% extra, 10% extra. I get another trip. You know what? Yeah, that makes sense. Boom, 15% extra. But that 4th trip, it's 10 miles for $6. You're like, no way. Don't accept that. I said the same thing for consecutive streak bonus. Like, dude, don't accept that. If mathematically it's not going to make sense, it's going to turn you upside down. It's going to put you in a bad position for the next offer. And you get the consecutive streak bonus after it, because you have accepted it. And the same thing here. Like, yeah, but I get 20% extra. Like, dude, don't accept $10 for or 10 miles for like $6 or like $5.50. Because think about it. It's like it's going to only add an extra buck. So now you've just accepted 10 miles for $6.50. It's still not worth it. But if you're multi-apping, you can say, oh yeah, I'm not going to accept that. It's not good, but I'm not going to feel the pain as much. Next, let me show you what an app is doing finally to address a huge issue. Do you do Walmart Spark? Do you do Amazon Flex? Do you do any gig app that schedules you? Any DoorDash schedules, basically everyone schedules. Like you can go online, but you can also schedule. What is a big problem with apps that schedule you? Sometimes there's a backdoor entry via bots. Walmart Spark has that issue. And this app I'm going to show you right now has actually just acknowledged this as a real issue, because let me know if you've been affected by bots on scheduling apps, because they're like, oh, Tuesday works perfectly for me. That's my off day. I love to make some extra money and it's good weather. It's probably going to be a good day to drive. I'll make some extra money easily. You try to schedule and like shifts drop, let's say at a certain time, gone. And you're like, how the heck? How are these? Let me show you. Okay. So the app is Amazon Flex. So Amazon Flex, you can schedule shifts, 2.5 to like 4-hour shifts, packages, right? But the problem is if they're getting attacked by bots, then the best shifts or even just general shifts are gone. So look what they're saying here. Amazon is saying helping you get more delivery blocks by removing bots straight up. I'm not going to go through this whole thing. Again, this is all on my free newsletter here. But look at this. As a result of our efforts, in the past 6 months, we've stopped more than 200 million attempts. That is unreal. From bots to schedule blocks. This isn't bots trying to hack your info. These aren't bots trying to like hack your pay account to get your money. 200 million attempts just to try to schedule shifts. That's what I think, Walmart Spark needs to maybe take a little hint here from this. And actually, to give them credit, Walmart Spark, probably a month and a half or 2 months ago, they did also announce a blog post that they were going to combat bots as well. And I let those newsletter subscribers know as well. That's a free newsletter. You don't got to pay or anything for that. Continually improving bot detection and removal so there are more blocks available for you. Here's a real question for you. Can you comment this in the live chat or the comments? Would losing shifts to seemingly bots, because we don't know for sure. Maybe there's like a lot of drivers and just grabbing up the shifts. But if it seems sketchy, like shifts are disappearing, would losing shifts to bots affect your willingness or enthusiasm to drive for a gig app? Let me know in the live chat or in the comments. Would losing shifts to bots affect your willingness or excitement, whatever, ability to want to work on a gig app? For me, it would, because like every time I sign up, the darn shifts are like gone instantly. What's going on? It's frustrating, especially if you're trying to do this to make some real income, catch up on bills, provide for your family, have some extra money, pay down debt. Okay. So what are they doing? They're using this. I never really knew how to say this. CAPTCHA. Yeah. This CAPTCHA, whatever it's called. So yeah, they're doing these like 2-factor authentications, these things prove you're not a robot stuff. Okay. So that was just announced a couple of weeks ago. Amazon Flex trying to improve their scheduling feature. So let me show you another update here. Speaking of Walmart Spark, let me show you this update from Spark that might make your life a little easier if you're doing more of what's out there in 2024. What I mean is, when I first started at Walmart Spark, I don't know when it was, 2022, I can't remember, probably earlier. I don't know, you can check the videos, but it was a lot of load and go, or whatever they pick in, I don't know what they call it, but you arrive, the associates load it in your vehicle, and then you make the delivery. That is like all there was when I first started. And now there's a massive swing to what a lot of these gig apps are doing, shop and deliver. I mean, they're also doing different verticals, okay? But I'll get into that on our next update. So Walmart Spark is elevating the shopping experience with image sharing. So if you're doing shop and deliver on Walmart Spark, it's not a huge update, but you can share images to discuss item substitutions. Okay. Image sharing in driver support chat as well. Now, it's not a huge deal. And hey, I appreciate Jose with the super sticker. Appreciate you. If you want to show your appreciation on this channel for what I do here, consider clicking the icon in the live chat or the super thanks button down below if you're watching in the replay. Always appreciate it. And as always, there'll be a Q&A after this announcement session. I appreciate that. So you may think that image sharing is not a big deal. Like, dude, I can share a picture to the customer or live chat. I just had to use this though. On DoorDash, contactless delivery, confirming with the person who was sending something as a gift. So I found out that our Dash Marts have very nice roses. Yeah, there you go. If you're, running behind, or like, oh, you forgot the anniversary, or maybe you just want to say, I'm sorry. Hey, I'm sorry. Have some roses, right? Our Dash Mart has a dozen roses. So I picked up this dozen roses in the strip Dash Mart, and actually they're really nice. They're packaged well as well. I delivered to this, house, whatever. And the person texted me, via the Dasher app, and they said, these are for my girlfriend. Can you leave them in the front lobby, in the front doors? There's in the first set of doors, that's better. And there's a shelf there. Can you drop it off there? I said, sure. But what I also did is I sent him a picture of it as well. There's a delivery confirmation picture, but I wanted to actually send him the picture myself just to make sure. So I took a picture and I sent that in the live chat to the customer, just as, to be doubly sure there. So Walmart Spark, if you're having problems with item substitutions. And, one more thing I'll say on this, and I do have some other updates for you. So we'll move on from this in a second, but out of stock items, and they say, Walmart's like, what do you do? Panic? Mark the item as out of stock and keep shopping? So this comes into play if I have an item that's out of stock and there's no pre-approved substitution, because sometimes the customer pre-approves substitutions, or they'll say, pick one for me, but sometimes it'll say, ask the customer for substitution, because they're like, they're just a little picky like that. Hey, I get it. It's your groceries, okay? So I can send a picture of the entire empty shelf. I can send a picture of items, right? Makes sense. Moving on here. So another update I wanted to talk to you about is what just happened with, and we'll go over this briefly here, DoorDash and Uber, and actually Just Eat's Takeaway, which is a parent company of Grubhub. They just finished their quarterly calls. Okay. Now, I told you I just listened to DoorDash's Q2 quarterly call. And in the next coming days, I'll listen to Uber's and I'll give you a full summary. So I'm not going to do a full summary here. I just want to let you know what I noticed on the preliminary here. So if you ever want to do this, just type in DoorDash financials and you can find it in search. And this is, public information, as they're a public company, of course. Earnings webcast is right here for Q2 and their earnings press release. So what I noticed is there was minimal talk of Dashers, as there kind of always is. And it's always about what's next. I'll tell you that DoorDash, for probably the fourth or fifth quarter in a row, probably even more, they focused on new verticals, grocery and convenience, and more. But not a lot of talk on Dashers. So the only thing that I really heard about Dashers, man, I'm telling you, are the magic words, Dasher efficiencies. Remember I said efficiencies earlier? Well, I did. Anytime I see Dasher efficiencies on these earnings releases, it means saving money on paying Dashers less. Yeah. So Dasher costs, as defined by DoorDash in the past, encompasses acquisition costs. So any advertising to get new Dashers, any guaranteed pay, any bonus incentives when signing up, probably maybe referral costs. I don't know if they lump that into something else accounting wise. And then general Dasher trip pay. That encompasses the totality of Dasher costs. So in these reports, if they say we've improved efficiencies on Dasher costs, is usually how it's said, it means they're saving money on that, on paying acquisition costs less, on Dasher pay less. And I mean, I haven't listened to the Uber call yet. Let me show you that. So again, this is in my free newsletter, yourdrivermike.com/newsletter. Sign up right now. It takes a second. It brings you to a landing page. You just punch in your email. That is it. yourdrivermike.com/newsletter. Don't wait on that. And everything's linked out as well. So in those newsletters, if you want to follow any of the stuff I've shown you today, it's all linked there for you. And you can do it at your own pace. If you want to be super quick with it, 2 minutes, boom, done. If you want to look into it more, you can. So I haven't listened to Uber's calls yet. Again, same thing here. They provide a little bit of extra resources here. But I'm thinking it's going to be basically the same thing. And it's going to be, okay, number one, new verticals. I've been telling you this for what? Since it came out. I've been telling you this since it came out. Like 2 years ago, I think Tony Xu, the DoorDash CEO, said, I think new verticals was 3 years they've been working on it. That seems a little long. Has it been 3 years for new verticals? That's what they're focusing on. I've been telling you that's what you need to focus on as well. So what that means is when you're on the road, just get comfortable with how grocery shopping works, how retail pickups work. There's package returns on DoorDash. I've never seen a package return. There's packages on Uber. That way, there we go. There's packages on Uber. There's grocery shopping on Uber. There's a lot of that stuff. Now, it doesn't mean accept it if it doesn't make sense. That's not what that means. It just means like, hey, I think you're going to start to see more and more and more. And this is what we've seen. We're going to see more of this since 2022, and we have. 2023, huge ramp. And the same thing in 2024. And I'll talk to you more about that in that summary call that's coming up, that video. Lastly, in our newsletter, just want to touch on this just because it was an interesting article that I saw that stated 9% of gig workers earned less than the state minimum hourly wage that they would have received if they were W-2 employees. In this article here, I was just looking around for stuff, and I just wanted to talk to you about this because this was also a recent article just published a couple of weeks ago. This from Forbes, delivering financial literacy to Uber, DoorDash, and the gig economy. So again, it talked about just the discrepancy of pay for some and what. Here we go. And what some, not all, what some gig. Well, here, let me get you a better view there. What some workers were making in the gig economy. Since 2020, look at the proportion of earners in the gig economy. More than a quarter of gig workers earned less than the state minimum wage they would have received if you just took on an extra side job, W-2. And we can see 14% are earning less than $725 to $999. Now, my thoughts on this, it's twofold. Okay. I see it as three different issues, kind of. So, number one, is there an issue with gig apps not paying enough? Let's be frank. I know that's like the top of mind kind of criticism here. Are gig apps not paying enough? I would say yes, to a degree. It's a double-sided coin here, though. It's the gig economy. You're an independent contractor. You can accept and decline whatever you want. So I also want to take responsibility, for the other side, the worker. And this is all I try to do here is I help you maximize your income in the gig economy. So if you find yourself not making the $14.99 an hour or less, you either don't know the best practices, maybe no fault of your own. You just signed up, you just started driving. Maybe there's, I don't know, something holding you back, a language barrier. You can't access tools like this, what have you. You could just accept everything because maybe you don't know that you are allowed to decline. Maybe you just have heard that accepting everything is the best way to maximize your income. I mean, we reach a lot of people here, but there's 7 million Uber drivers and couriers. There's 7 million Dashers. So, even reaching the people that I reach, that's why the share button's there, I guess. Share this channel with someone who's not making the kind of money they want to make. There's market contingencies. Is your market busy enough? Does your market have a ton of drivers? We don't know because we can't see that. Okay. But you can kind of gauge if I'm driving Tuesdays at 4 p.m. Are they sending me enough offers? I've driven for 6 months and Tuesdays are always slow. You probably should not drive on Tuesdays. You should probably keep this as a side hustle. Versus, look, there's still 37% that are making over $20.99 to $21 an hour or more. 13%. My goal is always to have you in that top of the bell curve. How do you do that then? So to be the top of the bell curve, Let's start with the simplest thing. Partly it's luck here. Partly is the inverse of what I said. Does my marketplace have a lot of customers that are spending on gig stuff, on-demand grocery, on-demand food delivery, and then needing rides with rideshare? So 100%, we've always said this, it's market contingent, and rural submarkets. I mean, I'm trying to be the most transparent place for you in the gig economy, the most neutral stance you're going to get. This is why you should subscribe here. And if you are, thank you. Drop a like on this video. I appreciate you. If you're in a rural marketplace, and actually Tony said this, DoorDash CEO Tony Xu, on the call that I listened to yesterday, he said he knows that their reach greatly weakens the further away you go from a metro market. He said that. He's like, well, yeah, we know our selection just dramatically drops off because they just don't have as many partners signed up, restaurants, etc. So if you're out there in a rural or suburban marketplace, you have less choice. You have less pickup options. And then if the word of rideshare, whatever, hasn't gotten out there, or someone's like, dude, why would I take rideshare? Everyone has vehicles out there. I'll just drive and park to the airport. Why would I pay a premium when I could just drive my vehicle, versus someone in metro marketplace. They're like, oh, it's convenient. I'm just going 15, 20 minutes to the airport or something like that. Okay. Nextly, how do I be a top earner in the gig economy? It's follow best practices. So we talked about market contingencies, luck, and then knowing the best practice. When, where to drive, what apps to use. What do you do if an app is dead slow? So there's markers. Okay, well, food delivery might be dead at 6, 7 a.m. Because what's open? Dunkin', Starbucks, breakfast places. But who's actually awake? Early birds maybe getting breakfast at those places that just opened, or Starbucks opens at 5:30 in the morning here. Yeah, you'll get some food delivery at 5:30 in the morning. But what might you get more of? Maybe not at 5:30, but maybe 6 a.m., 7 a.m. airport runs, possibly for the first flights out of an airport. So knowing for my marketplace, like here in Pittsburgh, I know this area is a little better than this. This area, I usually get orders that pull me even further away than where I want to go. So I don't try to drive around there, downtown and the north side. It's going to pull me usually a little more north, a little more west, where it's a little more rural, let's say, or downtown parking's tough, even though downtown's not, huge here in Pittsburgh, versus staying in my preferred areas. So you need to understand, why am I driving on this app today? That's a good question. Why are you driving on that app today? I should be able to ask you, what's the 5 best places for you to wait? Why? What's around it? What are customers doing out there? And then why are you using that niche right now? I was doing a grocery. What was I doing? Was I doing a grocery run? I'm trying to remember. Roadie or something? But it didn't really make sense for grocery at the time versus maybe Sundays when people are starting the week. Oh yeah, let's get groceries for the week. That might be the best day for Instacart and Shipt and the like. So I'll finish with this. It's not hard. I've said this from day one. You can find this in plenty of videos. This stuff's not hard. And I see those comments sometimes. I saw a comment that was it wasn't on my video, it was on someone else's video. And the comment was you guys are making food delivery sound like rocket science. It's not hard, man. It's super easy work to do. Literally to pick it up and drop it off. It's not hard. But that's what makes it hard. That's what I say. Because it's the intricacies. Otherwise, if you don't pay attention to the intricacies, you're going to fall right in this bell curve. If you do nothing special, you're going to fall right in that 38% and earn $10 to $15 an hour. You got to know the intricacies of the gig economy. And speaking of, that is, yes, all the updates I have. So let me know the Uber trips in a row, the quarterly calls and what you expect from these gig apps, Amazon Flex blocking 200 million bot scheduling attempts in the last 6 months, or the earnings of gig workers and the spread of gig workers, what most resonates for you? But I want to take your questions here. What do you think about all this?